Joining me now is Louisiana Senator John Kennedy. It's great to see you, sir. Your reaction, do you think Adam Schiff will release those thousands of pages of documents? Nunes thinks he won't because Schiff doesn't want the American people to see how little evidence there was to what he says support the Russian collusion hoax that Adam Schiff still advocates. Your take on this, sir?
Chairman Schiff does not have a real good track record in terms of transparency or in terms of accuracy. We learned this week actually, that Chairman Schiff put 53 witnesses under oath, asked everyone, in secret of course, asked every one of them, do you have any evidence whatsoever that Donald Trump colluded with the Russians to influence the election? And every single witness said none. And then Chairman Schiff promptly went out in front of God, country, and the American people and said, I have direct evidence of collusion. Now, the chairman was either not telling the truth or he was getting high on his own supply. And I think once we get to see the transcripts, if we ever do, of all of that testimony, it will be apparent to the American people and indeed to the entire world that this was not an investigation, this was not a prosecution, this was a persecution.
You know, Senator, of the 53 interviews, they include high-level Obama officials, including James Clapper, Loretta Lynch, Susan Rice, and Samantha Powers. Your reaction to that?
Well, it's further evidence. And if you read the Justice Department's motion, I did today, and the exhibits, the motion to dismiss all charges against General Flynn, you'll have even further evidence. It shows clearly, categorically, unequivocally, this wasn't an investigation. It wasn't a prosecution. It was a persecution. And you know what? In terms of General Flynn, he had a lot of help, but all roads lead to Mr. Comey. In terms of General Flynn, he was clearly the godfather. I hate to say this, but he, meaning former Director Comey, was a cancer on the FBI. He hurt what I consider to be the premier law enforcement agency in all of human history. And it's not fair to all of the fine FBI agents and men and women that we have working there. But we're going to get to the bottom of this. But you add to that. I was just going to say, if you also look at the Inspector General Horowitz's report on Carter Page, you'll see further evidence. Look, it makes me want to chunder when I read this stuff. It's just horrible. People believe that we have the rule of law in this country, and I think we do, but it's clear to me that there were a handful of people at the FBI, led by Mr. Comey, that thought they were the law. I mean, their arrogance is breathtaking. These people could strut sitting down. They thought they were the law and could do anything they wanted to do. And they hated Trump, and they were going to get him. They were after a scalp.
In the summer of when you look at the timeline, summer of 2016, James Comey, according to the DOJ IG, did tell President Obama about the Trump-Russia probe. Then it comes to find out the CIA started to regard the Steele dossier as, quote, internet rumor. It turns out a lot of it was Russia disinformation. The Democrats, through the DNC and the Hillary Clinton campaign, paid for it. But when that all started to fall apart, it looks like they turned toward going after Michael Flynn in order to get at President Trump. What's your reaction?
Well, read the pleadings that the Justice Department just filed dismissing the case against Flynn. Here's what happened. The FBI investigated Flynn for collusion. The agents wrote, we don't have any evidence. Let's close the investigation. Comey and his assistant McCabe found out about that and said, don't close it. we want to send an FBI agent, 2 of them, to talk to Flynn. Let's see if we can get him to lie. If we can't get him on anything else, we'll get him on a perjury charge. The FBI agents that interviewed him in their notes said he wasn't lying. He didn't lie. What happens next? He gets prosecuted by the Mueller team. It's not right.
Yeah. Yeah. And Peter Strzok, turns out, may have altered and edited that original 302 form. Jim Jordan wants to see that original form.
Strzok was involved.
When it all falls, yeah.
Strzok was involved. Page was involved. McCabe was involved. But the godfather was Comey now. All roads lead to Comey in terms of General Flynn.
By the way, let's show to the viewer, if we haven't already, Adam Schiff's history of erroneous statements. So it falls apart. They go after Flynn. That doesn't really work out. Then, Comey leaks it, his discussions with with President Trump to the media in order to get the Mueller probe launched. And when you look at the timeline, it's really striking. I mean, also the newly released House Intelligence transcripts show Andrew McCabe testifying behind closed doors to Adam Schiff that the FBI did not prove the accuracy of the sealed dossier, but they used it for 4 FISA wiretaps, including the ones on Carter Page. The Justice Department found 2 of those wiretaps lacked probable cause. I mean, does this really, when you saw all this, were you astounded that you thought, you cannot believe this is going on in the United States of America?
Yes, it took my breath away. Still does. And Mr. Comey and Mr. McCabe, Mr. Strzok, Ms. Page, all the others have really hurt the premier law enforcement agency in all of human history. I mean, if you're an American and an FBI agent knocks on your door, your first concern shouldn't be, well, I'm a Democrat. I wonder if the agent is a Democrat or a Republican. It's not supposed to be about politics. Yeah. And it was. And we've got a lot of work to do, Senator, to clean it up.
Do you think President Obama was more involved than we realize?
Don't know. Hope not. Don't know. I don't believe. I'd have to see it to believe it. Don't want to believe it.
He knew the details of Michael Flynn's conversation with the Russian ambassador, and that surprised some of his officials that he knew the details of that wiretap.
I just don't want to believe it, and I'll have to see direct evidence of it. I think the people I think Comey ran this show. Now, I'm not saying others didn't know about it, and he had plenty of help, but I think this was Comey's. This was Comey's effort, and I hope we don't find it went any further or higher.
Senator Kennedy, we always love having you on the show. We appreciate your insights and your
Thank you, Liz.
perspectives. Love having you on. Come back soon, my friend. Come back soon.